Hello guys, welcome back to Genesis Vocals Volume 2, Episode 2, which well, for you guys will be released just now, but this is happening quite a while back. I am here with my newest guest, musician, Ayo Bamidele. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate this.
It's no problem at all. This is one that we scheduled for quite a bit, quite a while ago, like about a month.
Yeah, that's
right. So we finally followed through. You are my third musician now. Okay. At the time. Love having musicians. They have amazing. Yeah. You guys have amazing point of views, amazing goals, personalities. So I'm drawn to you, and I'll happily have another million more.
Yeah,
it does not matter.
Happy to be here. It's great to get the opportunity to have a chat with you and with all your audience as well.
Thank you very much. So we're gonna go right in because we did hit quite a tough one with the interview before. When I mean tough, I mean like some pretty deep topics, but it was a fun journey. It was a nice fun journey. We are now gonna get even more kind of spiritual and kind of soulful, and I want to ask you, Ayo, to kind of walk us through why you decided to become a musician, and actually introduce yourself in terms of what kind of instruments do you play, what kind of music do you write?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been playing music for quite a long time. I'm in my 50s now, and I got my first guitar when I was about 15. So I've been playing for a long time. And I always say I've got a few albums and covers here, which I'll go through.
Of course.
But the first thing that got me into music really was when I was about 13 years old. I was at that age. You become a bit more aware of the world, apart from your family,
right,
friends, etc. And at that time, back in the 80s, the world was very traumatic. There was a lot of trauma. There was a lot of tension in the world.
Okay, like Cold War tension, or
yeah,
different?
Cold War tension. It was divided into two armed camps. There was two nuclear camps, and back then you had public announcements on TV about what to do in the instance of a nuclear attack. Basically they were saying, you need to put sellotape on the windows, you need to hide up the stairs, put a barricade.
In the 80s?
Yeah, in the 80s. Yeah, you need to have perishable foods or non-perishable foods stored, and that kind of thing. So that was happening. And then also there was a lot of famines around, and there was also a lot of excess. So there was a lot of
so inequality.
Yeah, there was inequality, but there was also the fact that within the EU, which was the EU then, which was called the EEC.
The EEC. So the EU wasn't even called the EU, it was called the E. There we go, guys. Here for history buffs and everyone.
Yeah, it's got the European Economic Community there. And they had like batter mountains, wheat mountains, wine lakes, of all this food that they were making, and it was just rotting because they didn't want to put it onto the market because it would reduce the costs or the price of these commodities. So in other parts of the world, people starving. So I couldn't really, couldn't get my head around that. It just seemed bizarre to me, And then on the radio at that time, I heard a song by a band called The Jam. I was talking about keeping machines being replaced by rockets and guns, was one of the lyrics in the song. And that was Paul Weller, and it was The Jam. And that alerted me to the fact that music could actually match your feelings, or people within the music, artists could represent your deepest feelings. And that's when I really started to get into music. From there I became a Jam fan, a Paul Weller fan. I still am to this day. But I've always looked for songs with meaning about the human condition and about that kind of thing. So those are the sort of artists that I've gone into, and that's when I started to get into music. So 2 years after that when I was about 13. When I was about 15, I bought my first guitar, started to play, started to write my own songs and that sort of thing.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was a lot to unpack there. So it's come from a time where peace. First of all, peace was an uncertainty. Like, you know, we're looking 80s on the fritz of nuclear attack. You know, if push comes to shove, you had an insane amount of public inequality with wine lakes and mountains of food going rotten because they wouldn't put it on the market because it would reduce the price because it would be in excess, which is I think I saw something very briefly about like the wastage of fruits and vegetables in the EU, but this must have been like 4 years ago, but I didn't really pay attention to it. But now hearing that is...
Yeah, I mean, it was a policy of the EU and the common agricultural policy that they had there. And as I say, it just seemed, on a human level, it just seemed bizarre to me, you know, as a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So, and to have that kind of thing represented in music, just kind of gave me the inspiration to think, you know, music is a powerful thing.
And especially jam would intentionally talk about these issues, which is what I noticed immediately when I looked through. Check out his YouTube channel. The link will be in the description, but on your channel you have a segment playlist that says I think it's your 10 favorite jam music.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about the Jam was they were the biggest band in the country at the time. They were a lot of this, quite a few of the singles went straight in at number one. You know, they had a following. I think it was about 250,000 people. Just everything they did.
250,000
or more. You know, so they were just the biggest band at the time. But the thing about them was they weren't a celebrity type band. Like you wouldn't see them going to premieres on red carpets, going to Hollywood trying to be movie stars.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. They were artists, you know, all three of them, Paul especially, you know, were artists. They were serious about the music they were making.
Paul who?
Paul Weller.
Paul Weller.
Yeah, they were serious about the music they were making. And that set them apart from a lot of the other bands at the time. And that's why they were so loved by so many, you know, fans across the world, you know. And it gave you a different attitude to music and also to poetry and to art and to politics. Because Paul and all three of them were from working class backgrounds.
Okay then. So it's not even like their full-time job making music. They're working and then they come home and they jam.
Full-time professional musicians, but they're not from sort of middle class, upper class backgrounds. They're not working class.
Right. Okay.
You know, and they showed you that, you know, you could be from that background and be cultured, be interested in poetry, interested in art, interested in fashion and politics as well. You know, and I think that was part of the appeal as well. It went beyond just the music. You know. Plus they look good with clothes, fashion.
But that's the 80s, yeah. Amazing fashion that would have been.
Yeah. Well, they had the mod thing going, and I kind of like that aesthetic. You know, the 60s kind of mod that you've got from, you know, the Motown.
The flares, the suits,
Yeah, the suits and stuff. I mean, the flares and stuff came a bit later in the 70s, but in the 60s it was all kind of sharp suits, you know, and I like that look, you know. So
why wouldn't you? You know, it's like, all right, now, you know, modern tracksuits and so stuff, but you're right. There's a magic behind suits, and just for like finer clothing that I can't put my finger on it, but you see more. You don't see more uniform. It's a misconception that you see more dull. It's not. You actually stand out like way more, in my opinion. Anyway, I think it's very distinguishable, and I think having it in your own certain way, like you don't have to just get them in black, blue, white, like a red one, a brown one, a cream one, a pink one. It works. A purple.
Yeah, because style, fashion, it's an individual thing, isn't it? You know, everyone should be able to express themselves in their own particular way, you know, when it comes to clothes and that kind of thing. And I think back in those days, the style of the art, fashion and the style of the artists went hand in hand. You had people like, you know, before the Jam, Bowie and people like that had a very distinctive style, and their fans would follow it. And I think that happened with the Jam because of the mod thing and the two-tone bands at the time, people like Specials, Selector.
What does two-tone mean?
Two-tone was again back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, I'm going back now.
No, we're a bit forward now. Before we were in the 60s, now we're in the 80s, so we're a bit forward.
There was a revival of that kind of ska music, and the look was very close to the look that Modern had, you know,
of the sharp suits.
Sharp suits and that kind of thing as well. And that was really popular, so I was very much into that.
Okay.
So I brought a few album covers.
Yeah, please. Let's start us off.
The first one I want to talk about is obviously this one, which is the
Jam Sound Effects number 8. No, number 80.
Yeah, number Sound Effects. That was
I'll bring it.
I bought. That was an album I bought around that time, and yeah, as a Cameron Jam fan, this is probably my favourite Jam. So that's that.
Jam Sound Effects. So how large are they're the same? What's the diameter of the vinyls? These are vinyls. These are proper records.
Vinyls are 12 inch.
12 inches.
Yeah, and in terms of music, you probably fit about 20 minutes or so on each side, so about 40 minutes of music.
Oh, so that's how the storage works. It's per side.
Per side, yeah. So yeah.
What? So you flip it and then it's free.
One side and you flip it and burn the other side. Yeah.
See, this I never knew. From this, I'm just saying now, even for just me, speak as if, not as if, I don't know much about vinyl and how it works, and even the recording practices or anything like that. So you got a 12-inch vinyl, 20 minutes on each side, 40 minutes is what you're getting on the vinyl.
About 40 minutes, yeah.
Okay, all right then. And so why is this? Why this record?
It's got some really great songs on it. Really great playing by the band. You know, as I say, I was a Jam fan. I was always into lyrics, so that was one of the first albums I bought on vinyl, and it's one of my favourites. And it's actually got a poem on the back called "The Mask of Anarchy." So
Mask of Anarchy
by Shelley. So again,
the one that did Frankenstein, or different Shelley?
No, different Shelley. Yeah.
Oh, different Shelley. My bad. Sorry.
The poet, and so I basically, so that's another way of getting into poetry, you know, and literature, which I wouldn't have got from other bands.
So what does the Mask of Anarchy, if you were to summarize it, which I know is very hard because it's art, but what does the Mask of Anarchy talk about?
Well, on the verses that are on the album are all about communities coming together. It's about power and equality. I would say they are. Because it's quite a long poem, but Paul picked a number of verses that are all about community, about the power dynamics within society, and how through unity we can create better lives for ourselves.
And this I agree with. You know, being in a collective is always stronger than being in the individual, but also being in a purposeful collective, a collective that all have a same genuine goal. That's even more powerful than just being in a group.
Yeah. And I think now for creatives as well, it's all about creating communities, isn't it? It's about, can you create a community around your work that people feel they have some allegiance to, that they're getting something from, that you as an artist can express yourself in the way you want to express yourself. So again, these are things that run quite deep. From listening to the Jam and that kind of thing. My attitude now is about the DIY approach, I guess, doing it for yourself. That you can actually do these things. You can actually just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So I picked up that. That's an idea of that era.
Which is even more prevalent today. Like, it's more important today than ever.
Yeah.
Going out there and making your own, especially because all the kind of tropes of a regular successful life, working 9 to 5, get a house, start a family, get a car, go on holiday a few times. Now that has been completely dismantled and broken down, and success looks like so many different things now. You know, there's no way to say what successful looks like. Successful even now is not even having a large sum of money. You know, it could be a large sum of something else, a large sum of time, a large sum of freedom, a large sum of loads of things. You know, it's not.
There's so many different ways to live a satisfied life. You know, to be satisfied and happy in your life, and it doesn't all boil down to money.
Yeah.
You know, personal development is something that I've been into for a long time, and one person I like a lot as well. You know, and read and listen to a lot is Brian Tracy, and he's got an idea that you only need enough money so that you don't worry about money, and for different people that's a different amount. You know, you know, he's got
for some it's 10,000 a month, for some it's 2,000 a month. You know, it's all, and you're completely right, because I believe if you keep chasing to get a higher amount, the stress that's putting on you, because it will get more difficult. You know, there will come the peak. You know, and as you get closer and closer, the difference between how much money you're getting in a lot of cases is just going to be smaller and smaller and smaller. And while you are climbing, you're losing more utility, you're losing more time, you're using more of yourself, of your essence, to try and get more money, when really you already have enough to go and actually indulge and enjoy doing something.
Sure.
You know?
So money, money's important, obviously, you know, because
it's a medium of exchange. Yeah.
To a certain extent, because you know, if you've got money, you can do what you want to do. So it has got an importance, but there is research about after your basic needs are met, and as I say, the Brian Tracy idea I think is spot on, that once you feel you don't worry about money, that you've got enough, then it's not going to make you any happier to get any more existence. You know? And the proof of the pudding is in that you see a lot of podcasts now where people know rich, very wealthy people that are very unhappy. You know, they're billionaires and not happy. It's because money doesn't. It's a component, but it's not the only component. You know, many
it's
other
happiness.
in life that need to have a happy, balanced life.
Exactly. And for all those that do disagree, first of all, you have the right to disagree. But second of all, you know, chasing after it and think about it. What is money? What is money for? Money is to be spent. Like, holding the physical notes and holding the coins only brings you so much enjoyment. But what really brings you enjoyment is being able to swap that money for things like food, a house, a holiday. It's the goods and the services that actually bring you the enjoyment. The money is just the way that you exchange to get it.
But also as well, there are many things that are free, or that have nothing to do with money. You know, for example, love of your family, your loved ones, your friends. You know, spending time in nature. You know.
Funny you say that. Do any of these reflect on, apart from your album at the end? Because I know your album. If I just take it out, guys. The master tapes, guys. The master tapes. This is by the man himself, Ayo. The master tapes. I'll show you right there. And there's a glare of the light, but this will definitely be in the description because it is on your channel as well. But you do have a few songs on there that directly look at the free things in life that we don't have to pay for.
I mean, nature is. Although I grew up in London, in the east end of London. Nature has always featured a lot in my work and in my life as well, because it's one of the ways that I kind of de-stress is by getting out into, walking in nature, whether it's just parks or, I live in my park, so we've got Wanstead Flats quite close by.
Wanstead Flats, the massive park where they always do like country. I did cross country there as well, so it's
part of Epping Forest at one point, and you can just get out and there's a lake there, and you can see swans and stuff, and you can the trees, the birds, and it's just just to be out in that kind of nature, I find very rejuvenating. So I've written quite a few songs about that kind of thing. One of which is "Birds Fly South" for the winter.
Yeah, Birds Fly South. Very good song. Very good song.
Very much, yeah. And that is just about the fact that migrating birds is something that, when the environment changes, they react. So obviously when it gets colder, migrating birds react. They fly south. And it was just, I used that as a metaphor really for myself, that if I get down or blue, whatever, sometimes we do, to actually react to that, and get in touch with friends, walk in nature, remind myself of what I'm doing, my goals, what I've achieved in the past, whatever it is, to try and just rejuvenate myself and get back to where I was before.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's Birds Fly South for the winter. But yeah, you'll find that within my songs, a lot of the time, there's a lot of references to being out. There's a song called Late Summer, which is obviously about late summer. There's this album called The Healing Time. There's a song, Devils in the Mayflower, about springtime.
I remember you performed that. It was quite good. I went to this, just for context, guys, because you guys might not be following, but I went to it would have been 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Went to one of his shows at King's Cross. It was absolutely amazing. Watching him play the guitar is like watching someone work a piece of alien craft. Like, it's because I can't do it and I can't think like how I would even begin. It was absolutely amazing. And then when you brought the second guitar, I was like, right, like there's another guitar. Like, I thought it was just a prop for someone left it. It's another guitar tuned differently to do a different set of music, and some of the strums you did as well. It was like, and I'm looking at your fingers, and where I think the contact is going to happen and the sound, it doesn't. You will miss it, but then you'll come up and then make the contact that is a completely different sound that I expected. And I'm like, wow, that's from just what I can see. Obviously, technically, for anyone that plays guitar, that is not what happens. That's not at all. But me, for someone watching, that's how I describe it.
No, thanks very much. Like I say, I've been playing since I was 15, and I'm self-taught. So the way I play isn't a conventional way. It's really kind of like something that I've developed myself. And because I play solo as well, there's a lot of space to try and fill up, and I'll not fill up, to leave gaps, and it's all about working with the voice, working with the vocals.
Your vocals, it's funny he says it about vocals, your vocals completely change when you sing. You sound nothing like this, the way you're speaking right now, and it's really soft spoken, but when you sing, it's like a much more deeper, a much more not loud, but more bassy. It's a lot more hertz in it. It's a lot more vibration in it. It's completely, I don't know, you definitely noticed that, but that was the first thing that was so strange to me. And then you just start talking to me like this completely normal. I'm like, wait, what the hell?
Wow, yeah, no, thanks. I mean, it's all about the music coming, the songs coming from a deeper place, and it's all about having the intensity in the performance is just about the way I feel about the songs,
right?
Saying the subject matter and that kind of thing. So it comes out in that way, and in the same way that I've been playing guitar for a long time, I've been singing for a long time as well. So I've developed a style in the way of singing as well, and the two go hand in hand.
Yeah, and you can tell immediately that there's the Ayo normal, like not normal, but like the everyday, not everyday Ayo because you do music every day, but the one that interacts with people, the way you talk, the way you kind of just do things. And then there's the music one. Your brain completely switches over, and now it's the guitar, it's about the vocals, it's about the imagery of what you, because I know a lot of your songs are very intentional. Like even the pub, what was its name?
Oh, the Golden Fleece.
Is this in this album or a different album?
The Golden Fleece is one. We recording an album at the moment.
Okay.
With producer Brendan Lynch, and the Golden Fleece is going to be on that album.
Okay.
So I've recorded previously, but this is the first time I've gone into a studio and recorded with a producer. So
how's that compared to? I know a lot of people would be curious.
Compared to the other version, well, it's Brendan's added a northern part to it, which really lifts the track as well. And it's just obviously, Brendan's an internationally renowned producer.
Brendan.
And engineer, Brendan Lynch, yeah.
Brendan Lynch. Okay.
Producer and engineer.
I might put the link to some of the work in
His
there.
own studio, and so just the sound of it, the way he captures my voice and playing, is just on a whole different level to anything I could do myself. So it does sound. It's the same song, but it does sound a whole lot better.
Okay.
The way it's recorded. And then, as I say, Brendan's also a very good musician and a talented artist, and he's interpreted the song and added a part that's taken it to a different direction. So I think people will be very, who know the song from previously, be very interested to hear how it sounds now on the new album.
Well, I can't wait because I've heard it live in the space we were in. It was very it was nice and cute and small, so the sound traveled very well.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything airy. There wasn't like too many echoes. Everything you could hear. You could hear anything. Yeah. So it was really, and when that was performed, that was really good, and I could see it. Like you guys near Wanstead Flats in the park playing football with. He used to play football. This is everyone knows. They used to play football with the. I think everyone did, but the two coats.
Yeah.
You put two coats or two bags as the goalpost, and there's only one. Like they used to play Wembley.
Yeah.
Play Wembley, and that was it. Like,
that's the line. That's the line in the song, because the Golden Fleece is about a group of friends, and obviously I'm one of them. And we used to go to the Golden Fleece pub.
Yeah, the pub.
Close to Wanstead Flats. So it's just about memories of that friendship, and so that's what the song's about. And we used to play football there with just one goal.
That's it, man.
Song,
But that's what I like about your songs. It's very intentional. It's not supposed to. Well, I mean, it is supposed to soothe you as well. But like you said, the messages, the imagery, it's right there.
Yeah.
Like there's very little. There's stuff to interpret, but you help us interpret, and you help and take us through the journey of what we should be thinking about and why you've written it. While other songs, it's a lot more. You can say this is because of some third wheel, third party thing that they did 20 years ago and they brought it. But yours is very much more intentional. It's nicer to decipher. It's a lot more about the imagery and what you see in your head.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when I perform, I do talk a bit about
exposition. It does help.
And I get that because I've played in a few folk clubs, not many, but I've played in a few. And I know, and I've just seen that folk artists do that. They talk about songs a lot, So that's something I've adopted from that.
Yeah.
Is telling them about, and I think it just adds to the evening, rather than me just go through the songs and not to really talk about them. I think it just adds for the audience. A lot of them are hearing the songs for the first time, so to give them a bit of context, I think is a good thing.
I think it's a brilliant thing. I think that like the difference between the performance of when the musician, because now I've seen a lot of performances. Where I work every single Thursday, performance, like with guitar and everything, and the difference between someone that engages with the audience, i.e. they will ask them to pick a song, they will tell them about the song, they make them laugh while they tell them about the song, you interact with, and that interaction is just that much more important, and that's they're just everything you do, guys. Interaction is just that, it adds that little bit more, little bit of magic inside.
More of a communal thing, rather than me just sort of, to talk to the audience and tell them what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and the feeling I have for the songs. I think it does add to it. And,
it definitely does.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I'm glad you invited me. It was wonderful. and I'll go again 100%. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, it was a lovely evening. It was lovely. And I want to get on to this funky...
The funky one. This one is King Sunny Ade. And one of
King Sammy Ade.
King Sunny Ade, yeah. This is one of my dad's records, my late father, and he was a music lover. He played a lot of African music in the house.
Okay.
And King Sunny Ade was one of his favourites. He's got quite a lot of King Sunny Ade albums. This one, The Child, is just one of them I picked up. And African music does have an influence on my playing, on the way I play, because I don't play in a very metronomic kind of way. I play more.
What does metronomic mean?
Metronomic is in music you've got different time signatures. For example, 4/4 or 3/4. Musicians will know what I mean when I say that. And
4/4.
Yeah, 4 beats to the bar.
Oh, 4 beats. I know this.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 beats to the bar. That's metronomic.
Yeah, that's it.
So
yeah,
boom, boom,
if you stick
boom.
it to that formula,
Right.
then that's what you call a sort of metronomic way of playing, and it's very kind of in line. Each beat, like each downstroke of the guitar would match.
Because so we're like dun 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 dun.
You'd know exactly. Yeah, so it's very kind of precise.
Okay.
Whereas I play more in a flowing, sort of fluid type of way, and it's more percussive because I'm more kind of interested in the vocals. I kind of play to fit my voice and what I'm singing, the lines I'm singing. So some of the lines will be longer or shorter, and in African music you find that it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. That's not the way it works. It's kind of rhythm, a lot of different rhythms working off each other, and it's quite complex.
Okay.
And actually, when I analyse and think about the way I play, it's got more in keeping with that, because there is a beat, a rhythm going. I'm sort of tapping my foot. I've got a beat going, but I'm playing
in between the beats.
Between those beats.
Right.
And lengthening it, shortening phrases, so there might be 1.5, and so it's quite interesting to do.
Yeah.
And working with Brendan as well is quite interesting, because he's obviously used to playing in a sort of the metronomic way, but he's a very intuitive musician and artist himself. So he's really been able to kind of understand what I'm trying to do. He's very, very good at interpreting what I'm actually doing and why I'm doing it and how it works, and then putting a piece together to accompany it. So it's quite interesting working, because I've worked with other bands in the past,
right,
and we've kind of adapted what I'm doing to fit into that kind of way, to fit into that kind of metronomic way of playing.
Right.
But the results haven't been as good.
But this producer, Brendan, is actually morphing the background to fit the free flow.
Yeah, I think he's really intuitive in knowing the feel that I want to put across and the meaning that I want to put across in the music. He's not so into lyrics, interestingly. He's more interested in the overall sound of the piece. But what I like about him is he really understands what I'm trying to put across as an artist, musically and lyrically. Even though he's not really into lyrics, he's more into the notes that I'm singing,
right,
and the passion behind those notes, and enhancing that with whatever he adds to it. So it's a really good working relationship, and I'm really proud of the things that we've created. So
Well, I can't wait to hear this. This is quite. This exposition is nice.
Yeah, so we did this album, the master tapes. We've got another one coming out, the Recorder, which is going to be the next one. And I'm really excited to hear, just to see what people think of it, because it's a step forward. It's a bit of a transition from what we did previously. Although some elements are not just me singing and playing guitar with added strings and added.
No, it's still forward. I wouldn't even say a but, because I was having a conversation like last week with my cousin. Shout out to you, Aaron. I had a conversation with him saying that it's the little steps that you should focus on. It's not about the big leaps.
Yeah.
If you big leap, then when you do get to this whole new milestone, because you never did the small little steps and learnt from them, you don't really know how to move forward from here. You don't know how to consolidate it as well, like how to make sure you don't go backwards. But the small little steps, the small little improvements, this is what matters, and this is how you make sure that you don't take steps back as well, and you have a solid surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And they add up over time.
Absolutely.
To make those small steps that you can make every day.
Every single day, every single 10 minutes, every single everything. You could make small, little improvements that don't seem significant. But give it a day, give it a week, give it a month. Wow. You'll be like, whoa, what happened there?
Over time to make a massive difference. When you look back and you think where you was maybe a year or a couple of years ago.
Zero.
Making those little improvements.
Exactly. And then where you've come from now.
Yeah, it's just about being consistent, being consistent. Making those little improvements every day.
Consistency isn't the recipe of success, literally. So, and if we go to the next one.
The next one is another.
Now, this is a very interesting looking one.
This is the Style Council. The Jam broke up in 1982, and Paul Weller and Nick Talbot formed a new band called the Style Council. And this to me was the start of a whole new adventure, because they were a very different band to the Jam in that they were taking jazz to soul, some sort of neoclassical type pieces.
Oh, whoa, what's going on there?
A real vast array of different music and soul music as well.
Right.
And they had a very kind of political stance as well at the time, which I was into. And I just liked it. I just became a really big Style Council fan. I really liked the music, and so I followed on from the Jam into that part of the journey.
Okay, so this is the branch you went to after.
Yeah, it would be very remiss of me to not have a Style Council thing, and that was the first one. And that also
Style Council.
That one is it's very acoustic sounding.
Ah, right. So it's right there with what you do.
To the sort of things that I'm doing now, because I use very natural sounding instruments.
Yes.
Piano, strings, etc. Organ, so.
Well, I haven't heard you on an organ yet.
Yeah. On some of the songs you'll hear that.
All right, I can't wait, because I love it. I love me an organ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think organs. They convey a sense of weight to whatever's going on, whether it's an organ kind of behind like a ceremony, happy or sad, an organ behind a kind of battle, an organ behind like a discussion, an organ behind trying to realize something. It's an instrument that
has a certain gravitas.
Yes, very gravitas.
And if you're into the organ, definitely check out some Style Council tracks, because Mick Talbot is a very highly renowned.
What's his name?
Mick Talbot.
Mick Talbot.
Yeah, he's the keyboard player in the Style Council.
Okay.
So if you're into that, definitely check out some of their music. I'd say if you're really into it, maybe Walls Come Tumbling Down.
Walls Come Tumbling Down.
Have a listen to that if you like.
That sounds familiar, but I think that's a nursery rhyme I'm thinking of. not the actual song. So
check out that song.
Style Council, Walls Come Tumbling Down.
If you like organs.
Okay, I do. Well, I wanted to go back on a point before that you said about how you prioritize your vocals and your lyrics, which I can once when you hear his music, you know exactly what he's talking about and what I'm saying when I say I know exactly, like, you're right. And then the guitar fits in. So when you're now writing a song, what are you, because everyone's steps is different. Some people do beat first, then vocals, then ad-libs or whatever. Some people will do message first, like what am I going to talk about, find the lyrics, then find the instruments, then. So what is your steps when you create a song conventionally? Because I know it's not every time.
Sure, well, it's different depending, different songs. Because I could be just playing guitar, just messing around, and then I'll come up with a lyric based on the chords that I'm playing. So that might happen. But more most often I will come up with a melody and an idea for a song. You know?
Okay.
So
kind of like, what am I going to talk about, and what's the beat going to be behind it?
There'll be something on my mind that I'm thinking about, and I'll get an idea. For example, on the first, with the master tapes, I did a booklet called Turn a New Leaf.
Okay.
Where I actually had a song that I hadn't fully written yet. It's called Kites.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's called Kites.
Oh, I've heard Kites. Sorry, you played that at the in King's Cross. Yeah, the Harrison.
Yeah, so in that booklet, Turn a New Leaf, which came out about 18 months ago, I actually wrote some of the lyrics down and said, this is a song that I'm going to write eventually. And the idea behind Kites was two people being so in love and comfortable with each other that it was kind of effortless, their relationship. You know, obviously everyone has ups and downs. So I kind of envisioned two kites kind of flying, but flying easily, catching the breeze. And and a lyric from the song is, we don't try, we catch a breeze and fly, so we just fly effortlessly. But then there's also lines about there being ups and downs, twists and turns. There's songs about, there's a line in it, if our loves became an autumn night, if our lives became an autumn night blowing its leaves through to winter, we know in time our kites will fly in summer light again. So it's basically saying that there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be twists and turns, but that's just life.
Yeah.
But as two people, they've got that bond and that kind of effortless relationship between which together they get through these times. So that was the idea behind the song. So I came up with that idea of singing those lines, and then I started to work out chords that would fit in on the guitar. So that's often the way it works, is having an idea, coming up with the lyrics, singing the lyrics, then coming up with the chords to fit it.
Okay.
And then in the studio, coming up with parts to fit the chords and the vocals that I've come up with.
Okay then, alright. So, idea, melody, chords, lyrics, chords.
Yeah, lyrics, chords.
Okay, and by chords you mean the guitar fitting in with the vocals?
Yeah, what I'm playing. Yeah.
Right, okay, right, chords, technical. No, because I used to think it was just melody-based vocals. I'm learning loads of new stuff by finger musicians, interviewing.
Two or more notes played together. So you just play two notes at the same time. So
okay, well, like two of the same or two different ones.
Notes, yeah.
So like an A and a B, an F and a D.
Like C, E, G, or whatever. You play, and that would make a chord. For C, for example.
Okay then. It's technical. It's more technical than that.
You have the first, third, and fifth of the scale to make a major chord.
The first, third, and fifth.
Yeah, to make a major chord, and then.
The first being what? The first note.
First note. So, for example, C.
Okay.
C. You'd have a C, which would be the first note, the root note.
Okay. C.
Yeah, and then obviously after C, D.
Yeah.
To E, which would be the third note, because you've got C, D, and E.
Yeah.
Third notes. And then F and G. So the three notes that would make up a major, C major, would be C, E, G.
Okay, right. Okay, that's
major scale. So that's what we call a chord.
Okay then.
A chord of C major.
Right. Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's very, very, very technical and very.
Yeah.
It's good to.
But once you actually get into it, it's not.
I think that's with everything though. But it's quite remarkable and quite interesting that, you know, I just listened to the song, but there's actually so much that's gone into every single one that I've listened to, and a lot of expertise, a lot of experience, a lot of just sitting down and thinking and playing around and seeing what works and merging things together, getting things wrong, getting things right, liking it, then not liking it, then liking it again. And like you said, you wrote a book before you even wrote the master tapes. So there was a whole kind of idea and philosophy going behind what you're going to do, and then you released it. And I haven't read the book, unfortunately, and I will and must go and read that. But I've listened to a lot of the master tapes already. I bought the master tapes, guys. I forgot my copy at home, but I bought the CD version off you when I came.
So with that accompanying booklet and a new leaf, I wanted to give an idea. Like you asked the question how I write, so I wanted to give that idea. So I included kites, lyric to kites in there, even though it wasn't on the album. It was a future project, and obviously now it's coming out on the recorder. So the next album, we're actually recording it
with Brendan.
And it sounds good. It sounds amazing. I think I can't thank him enough for the way he's interpreted my music. And
Brendan, thank you. Thank you very much.
Brendan Lynch.
We'll put a Brendan Lynch link inside in the description as well, but hopefully he does get to see this and see like, wow.
Hopefully he deserves all the credit.
The appreciation. Like we talked to them before when the camera was off, because we don't want you guys listening. I'm joking now. But when the camera was off, we were talking about how important it is to give appreciation. And he's gonna love this.
Deserves it. I mean, it's a very unassuming. He doesn't really, chase the spotlight at all. But very immensely talented.
He's an artist.
He's an artist.
He's not a hack. He's an artist.
Yeah, we were talking about
hack and art.
The practice, the book,
the practice.
And we, on one side you have hacks, and the other side you have artists.
Yeah.
Should I talk a bit about that?
Definitely. 100%.
I mean, Seth Godin's book, The Practice, is a very influential book for me. Hacks, the term hacks comes from Hackney Marshes, where back in the day when we had horse and carts, if you wanted a basic horse, you'd go to Hackney Marshes and get a bog standard horse, not a thoroughbred, not one for racing, one for a workhorse basically. So that's where the term hack comes from. And Seth Godin was saying, on the one hand you have artists who are hacks and they create for the marketplace. And I gave the example of Jeffrey Archer, who was a politician back in the 80s again.
Back to the 80s.
Who decided he wanted to write a bestseller. So basically what he did was merge together all the classics, a bit of Romeo and Juliet, a bit of Cain and Abel's story, Rags to Riches story, put it all together in a classic book called Cain and Abel, which sold millions and millions of copies, got him out of debt. And you would just call that being a hack, really, because he was writing a book to be a bestseller, and it worked. But on the other side, you've got other people, I suppose you'd say something like Ben Ockrey or something like that, who just writes what they want to write, and I hope there's a market for it, and that's what you call being an artist. And creatives, Seth Godin says, fits into either one of those two poles, either they're artists or they're hacks. And I like to think I'm probably more of an artist.
Definitely.
Because I just do what I do, and hopefully
and be proud of it as well,
I appreciate it. So we were talking about that before, so I thought I'd explain what we were talking about.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And you guys, you should take that with you in anything that you do. There's nothing wrong with being either a hack or an artist, or being in the middle. But know what you're like. Be intentional of what you do. Know what you're doing. Don't be kind of lost. Don't be lost for too long. Even if you are lost, find out like what is it that keeps your heart in it. What keeps you going? Why do you do something?
And it's also to say that one is not better than the other. To be a hack is not an easy thing. To actually make something for a market
is very difficult, especially now where markets in all segments are changing constantly. Being relevant, being robust, being interesting to the masses en masse all the time is extremely difficult.
It's very difficult, yes. And, so hats off to the people that can do that.
Exactly.
Well
done, guys.
That's a talented thing. And being an artist as well, if you're going to do that, what Seth Godin says, and it's quite tough in the book, and it's a good book for artists to read, because he says, if you're an artist, you have no right to expect anybody to be into your music, because you're doing it
for yourself.
Art or whatever, because you're doing it for yourself, but I think that kind of rationality is important, because then you know who you are, why you're doing it, and you're able to then set your expectations accordingly.
Exactly.
And a lot of happiness in life is about expectations, so if you get your expectations in line with what you are as a person and what you are as a creative, then I think you'll be a lot happier.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, that's. I never even thought about that when we were talking about being a hack and being an artist. That expectations penultimately do come down to how happy you are or won't be. Because if you set the bar high, but it's too high for you to reach in the time frame that you've given yourself, given the resources that you had, then you're going to be a little bit unfulfilled. You are going to be a little bit upset and a bit.
Absolutely. If things don't work out to the way that you expect, then obviously it's possible to be quite unhappy about that. So I think it's good to set your sights high. But if you know that you're, like me for example, knowing that I am more of an artist than a hack, I know that I've got to find a niche of people that are into what I do.
Exactly.
It's not going to necessarily be a mass thing. It's going to be for people that are into lyrics, that are into acoustic.
Exactly. Acoustic, people that are like romantics. That's how I described you when I first listened to it, a romantic. But like the the Percy Bysshe Shelley, the Lord Byron, those old poets, and then like English literature. But these poets that focused on nature, that focused on why do bees make honey? Why do bees live in packs? Why does summer come? Why does winter come? How do you know it's coming? How do you feel when it comes? And merging both personality and things in nature together. And I think that's what your music, from what I heard, does.
I do talk a lot about nature and about the human condition and human behaviour, and so all these stuff. If you're into that kind of thing, then it's going to be more for you. But not everyone's into that. Not everyone's into lyrics, for example. Some people just want to have a music listen, got a nice beat, there's instruments.
Exactly. But it is well liked, because the fact that now we just said that, now I'm thinking about it, like every single English teacher, like the ones that really know their stuff, every single English teacher would love your music because this is exactly what they really try and portray to the people to make seem magical. And they take us like on residentials too. We went to a residential to Kew Gardens to study poetry.
Oh right, okay, sure.
And the garden did help. All the kids screaming and stuff didn't, because we were rowdy and we're young. But the plants in the gardens do help. And whenever I think of Kew Gardens, I think of English literature.
Sure.
I think of romantic poetry. I can imagine the person sitting there and drawing. Either drawing or writing music or writing a poem, or you can imagine them do it. I think they took us to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think John Keats' house, and he's a very famous English romantic. And we actually went at his residence, and there's gardens with bushes with animals. You don't even know what they do. You don't touch them, because they look alien. It's like a navy blue with yellow in the middle, and it looks like it will cut your finger off, but it looks absolutely insane. And to think that, this guy was looking at that and he wrote what he wrote. That's no wonder,
no, absolutely. And I think, to go to places like that, which we can do, a lot of them are free as well.
Exactly, a lot of them are free.
Things that people don't always do, so a few gardens.
I think it's something that we miss out on. I think travelling, because we're always creatures of habit and we stay in the same areas, we don't think to go and even like as close as Epping Forest or Wanstead Flats or Regent's Park or Primrose Hill or all these beautiful places, but you never go there intentionally.
Very lovely places.
Even Woolwich. Woolwich has like, I don't know, but there's a hill on it, and it is so steep. But when you make it up this hill, the view you have of London is absolutely phenomenal. And it's just a normal hill with like a little road and one bus that goes through it and some residential houses. But it's beautiful.
Sure, okay. Well,
it's amazing.
You find beauty in anywhere, like even within a city like London. So if you look for it, you can.
Exactly. And London's one of the lucky cities that actually like preserve historical artifacts and places. So some places are just like frozen in time, like the Tate and Lye factory. Like I walk past it and it's still like as crazy to me as it was when I was a child, because I would see it, because where I am, I'm in Beckton, so I'm always seeing this thing across the river. I'm never up close to it. It's always the body of water, the airport, factory. And then one time I actually walked, I think I got off by accident at King George V. And I was like, you know what? I've got time. Let me walk to wherever I need to walk. And I'm walking, and I come across it, and it's massive, like absolutely huge, like something out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, whoa, like a monster of a building.
Amazing.
So it was, it was actually amazing.
I mean, it's beauty around the architecture and everything. So you can find it in urban spaces as well as in the countryside, and it's great that we've got such lovely green spaces as well to enjoy as well. So, and I suppose that cities across the country and across the world, architects and planners are trying to build in green spaces, because it's so good to our mental health and well-being.
It is. When we lose the green spaces, we will lose a piece of ourselves, because you do need to be out. Your body loves it. Your body loves when you're active, when you're combating the elements. Like your body likes you walking up a hill way more than it likes you on a treadmill, because a treadmill doesn't give the experience of the gravity, the wind resistance, the even the terrain. It's a lot harder to walk on grass, mud, rocks.
And we spend so much time sitting as well. At work and at home as well. So it's good to get out.
And so walk around or run around or do something. You know what I mean?
Be active.
So I was looking at this, and this reminds me of Tribe Called Quest, or some sort of disco kind of. But please,
Maze, they're just a band. After the jam and stuff, I've gone into a lot of soul music, because I was in my nightclubbing days,
guys.
With people like it was loads of bands like Alexander.
In Los Angeles.
No, these are
this one. Yeah.
Maze are just they're a group, and they have such great songs, great lyrics, and they're a very tight band.
What do you mean tight? Like they're very
the way they play together as a band, they're all together, and musically they're very well accomplished musicians, and the lyrics and the songs I love as well. So this is one of my favourite albums of the time.
Really? What's some of the lyrics like that really stick out?
Probably their favourite one is Joy and Pain.
Joy and pain.
Yeah.
Joy and pain.
And they're talking about life's complexities, but joy and pain are one in the same thing. It's how we interpret it. So that's quite a deep, meaningful song. And it's all part of the same game of life, and it's all about how you interpret things that counts. So
this is very true. This is funny enough. So I think one example, like one like little joke I used to do when I used to work is someone sit down, they get their menus and they're looking through thinking, okay, we're gonna eat. I'll go up to them, being their waiter and all, but I'll first say to them, guys, sorry, we are no longer serving any food, but thank you for coming and I hope you come back next time. And the dread that they look at me on their faces, like, what's going on? Like, what did he just say? What?
Yeah.
But then when I immediately say, oh no, I'm just joking, the elation and the happiness that comes from them now, I wouldn't have got by just initially going to them and saying, hello guys, I'm gonna be your waiter and you're gonna get the food that you expected. It's all of a sudden you become like more appreciative.
Yeah.
So when you say joy and pain, when they say joy and pain is one and the same, you know.
Well, it's sunshine and rain, but it's part of life's, you know, rich tapestry in a way. You know, the lyric in it is joy and pain is like sunshine and rain. You know, you can't have one without the other. You know, it's part of life. You're gonna have sunshine, you're gonna have rain. It's all part of the same thing. It's all part of life, you know, and it's all about how we interpret it and how we deal with it. You know? So, again, they are. Frankie Beverly, who was a great songwriter. They wrote songs like that are quite meaningful.
Frankie Beverly, yeah.
Right. And so I was a big fan of them. But at the time, there was all the Alexander O'Neills, Luther Vandross, Anita Baker.
Luther Vandross, I've heard.
Yeah. If you were going out to clubs in those days,
80s.
In the 80s. Yeah,
80s now, okay.
That was the sort of music they were playing. So I was into a lot of Rare Groove as well.
Oh, Rare Groove is nice. Yeah. Rare Groove is. Shout out to Mum and everyone. The whole of our community, we absolutely love some Rare Groove.
Sweet Charles, Yes It's You. But there's quite a lot of different artists within that genre as well. So I was very much into soul music for a period after sort of mid-80s and 90s. That was what
it's about 30 years, 20 years, 30 years?
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
That was sort of music I was listening to.
It's nice.
One of the nights I've got things.
It explains why you're so happy. And not happy, but like you're more content. You always have a content expression on your face when I meet you. Even if we're texting, I can just tell that there's no rush. There's no animosity. There's nothing to worry about. It's okay. You know?
I guess I have got that kind of thing, you know. Because if you've got a philosophical outlook, if you spend a lot of time, reading and kind of think, it gives you a certain perspective on life. You know, that what really matters, what doesn't really matter. You know, and I try not to get too wound up. Obviously, like anyone else, you get wound up.
Of course.
But I try not to get too
irritated and too worked up.
Minor inconveniences. You know, for example, if I go to your restaurant and you said, "Oh, sorry, we're not serving," I'd be thinking, well, okay, that's a bit annoying. Where else can we go?
Exactly.
I'd be on to the
next thing.
We go then. What are we going to do now then? Okay, how can we turn this around into? I wouldn't be. Some people would think would really something. This is not acceptable. Some
people haven't learnt, or not that they haven't learnt, but they've seen that, and it's not. I don't want to say it's not their style, because it should be everybody's style not to get too wound up and take things way too seriously. But some people they're not like that. They're wired differently. They would get angry. They would be like, "Why? This is unacceptable." Even before they've even found out that it's a joke.
So
they confront it.
Exactly. Most of the time, it's not something that I jump to immediately. I would more, think, right, okay, this happened.
What can we do alternatively? Which there's usually always an alternative. Sometimes it takes you a bit to go to I'm going to reference you guy as well, and you actually said it as well. He called it the third place. So that's the place you go to reset, to rejuvenate. Obviously, you talked about you going outside, walking around amongst nature. That's like your third place. How you reset, you rejuvenate in the same way. Find that place. Think about the alternative, any alternatives you can do, and there usually is one.
Yeah, absolutely. There normally is one. That's question. Yeah.
So we are now on Van Morrison on Moon Dance.
Moon Dance.
He looks like he's from Top Gun a little bit, yeah.
Well, I became a Van Morrison fan, quite late on, really. I just got into this album because of the lyrics again.
Okay.
He's a songwriter, but he's also a poet as well.
Okay.
His music is very poetic. And
is it like a romantic poetry or more of a political poetry, or?
Yeah, kind of romantic poetry.
Romantic as well.
And just in terms of musically, he's very influenced by soul, blues, jazz, and they're all musical styles that I love as well. So musically.
So what instruments did he usually gravitate towards?
You'd hear saxophone, you'd hear piano, drums and bass, you'd hear organ, so again, very natural sounding instruments that I like and I use in my music as well. And he's got an amazing voice. He's got an amazing soulful voice, amazing soulful voice. So if you haven't checked him out, check out Van Morrison.
I'm gonna put in all of these. I'm gonna put in and I've said it on the channel, so now it has to be done. All of these I'm gonna be putting on the description, like their links. Obviously, the sound on LP, you can't beat a sound on a vinyl. It's just absolutely, it's impossible. It's absolutely wicked. But I'm gonna get all of these on, and I will be checking them out myself, as I like to hear new music, as much new music as I can, because I've spent so many years where I listen to the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over, and now that has to stop, and I must now listen to new things, which I have been.
Yeah, sure. So it's good to try.
It's amazing to try different things, and those new things become your new favourites, which you never thought was possible. You thought that you had it perfect, and then you just hear that one song that just there's one song I listened to very recently called Shaka Khan. It's not called Shaka Khan, it's by Shaka Khan. The song is there's something in Tunisia, and the melody keeps playing on.
Oh, okay.
The song's wicked, man.
Wow.
Wicked.
Wow.
It absolutely, absolutely blew my mind when I thought that I already had my mind blown.
That's one I'll need to check out then.
It's good
as well,
I'll send that to you PM, and anyone else that wants to hear that song, but I'll private message you that one. That one's beautiful. It's really good. And then we've got Richie Havens, who has made it to my personal favourites on my YouTube playlist, because I looked at your top 10.
Yeah.
And this gentleman was there, and the way he played.
I did a top 10 of peace songs about peace.
Peace, yeah.
And he's got a song called Handsome Johnny on there. And the funny thing about Richie was that I went to a guitar workshop, which was in Bermondsey. This place called the Acoustic Guitar Centre, and they had lessons above this shop. So I went along to one of those, and the guitar teacher said, "Your guitar style sounds a lot like Richie Havens."
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said you play a bit like him. So I'd never heard of him. So I thought I'll get some of his music, and really, fell in love with his music as well. His guitar style, it's a very percussive guitar.
Yes.
He was a very percussive guitar player, and he's famous for, I don't know if you've heard of the Woodstock Festival in the 60s. It was a very famous festival that all the big bands of the era played at, and opened the concert because they didn't think it was going to be as popular as it was. All the roads were blocked, and so a lot of the acts couldn't get there at the time. Richie came in by helicopter, I think, and so he played for about two to 3 hours, something like that, just to keep the crowd entertained while some of the other acts arrived.
So he covered for them.
Yeah,
that's amazing. He covered for them for 2 to 3 hours.
Him and his small band. A small band of guitar, another guitarist, and a guy playing congas, I think. And he just the audience entertained for about 3 hours. Just playing stuff.
Jeez, man, he must have slept well after that.
Yeah, and I saw him live a couple of times as well when he came to London at the Jazz Cafe. Amazing live performer as well.
Where does he hail from?
He's from America. He's from the US. I think he's from New York.
Okay.
But he was around at the time when Bob Dylan was coming through, and there was a lot of acoustic folk type music being played in New York around that time, around Greenwich Village area. He was one of the musicians from around that time. So yeah, a very long history. He's just not with us any longer, unfortunately. But you know, his music lives on.
Yeah, of course. As all music does.
Yeah,
the artist paid past that.
Big influence on me. I love his. He had a very much a humanitarian outlook. His music was about, again, the human condition.
And helping each other in communities. Yeah.
Communities, that kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah.
Humanitarian. That's the word that I needed that word in about 4 different conversations before this. Because I was even trying to explain to not explain, but me and my workmates were talking. You know, you talk after work, sitting down, and we're talking about like what does true enterprise mean? Like, what does it actually mean to be an entrepreneur? Like, for me, because for everyone it has to be different. For me, it's not just about making money. It's about having the resources to do a humanitarian effort. And I didn't have the word. I just said being a collective and helping communities, which is true. This is what I meant. But humanitarian is exactly where it should go.
I think if you can do both, if you can do something which is obviously doing some good in society, and it's also making money, because obviously you can't have a business if it's not making a profit.
No, of course.
So you need the profit to reinvest and grow. But if you're doing something good, then you're going to be a lot more satisfied as an entrepreneur, aren't you? If you can see the
good and stuff you're doing for people. Yeah, definitely.
It's to put the betterment of society. I know everyone feels that way, but I think you'll definitely be a lot more content and happy in what you do.
Yeah.
If you can see something.
And it's fine for other people to feel that way, but just like how certain people that have certain views will push, like they will go to the absolute limit to change the world in the way that they envision it, we should do the exact, in my opinion, we should push just as hard to change the world in the ways that we want to do it. I remember there was a song you were singing that was Love in the 60s, War in the 70s?
67,
67, 68, that's what it is. 67, 68. And the contrast of how it was all lovey-dovey in 67, and in 68 it was all protests and war and fighting and all that stuff, and fighting for what you what you believe in, and that part actually, joy is pain. That pain actually brought me joy, because it's true, in my opinion, that we should, go out there and change the world how we would like to see it. Because why else are we here? If we can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that song, 67 was the summer of love, and you had the Beatles with All You Need Is Love and Flower Power and Neck and Peas and that kind of thing, which was great. But then just a year later, you had riots in many cities around the world. Martin Luther King was assassinated, and there was riots about the Vietnam War as well. Riots about that. So it's just the contrast between those 2 years is what that song is about. And in terms of it, there's not really a message in it as such, but I just think you need to be aware of what our rights as citizens are now. And even if it's just down to actually just voting, playing a part, to actually kind of, say that you're playing a part in society. Yeah. That's something, at least,
No, it's more than something. It's something that we didn't have. This would have been quite recently, 1914. 1914 is when all men had the vote. And then I think the Second World War, or 1920 something, is when all women, everyone, universal voting. And that was less than 100 years ago. We're just coming up to 100 years of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, we didn't have it.
Yeah, sure.
You know.
So it says, you know, you've got to. In that song, it's talking about the fact that there were these riots in '68 because flower power and love is one thing, but then there's also people in this world who want to take advantage as well. Who will take advantage of it if you're not willing to stand up for your rights.
Exactly. And for what you believe in.
Yeah, we'll exploit that. So there has to be a balance between knowing what your rights are, fighting for those, and also being empathetic and caring about society as well. So yeah,
exactly. I'm taking a part of it, not being a bystander.
Yeah, being a bystander, making sure you have your say, or even just make sure you having an attitude about what is going on, being knowledgeable about going on. Because one thing my parents always insisted on us as children growing up was that we watch the news and that we are aware of what's going on, because they've made us aware that we have a stake in the world. We are part of it, even if it's a small part of us. We do have a stake, and we should be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, and not even just individuals. I think when people act as the fact that we all have a small stake, this is why it's more imperative that we work as a collective with like-minded other individuals, because those stakes together now become a force that is recognized by not only the other collectives around, but also, you know, authority figures, you know, whether that be the police, the government, the banks, whatever. When they see a conglomerate, when you see an established kind of group, you take them more seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. That happens. That collectivization is an important thing as well. So yeah, that was what that song was saying. But I think more my music over the years has kind of become more about what I could do as an individual rather than looking beyond myself. When I first started writing songs were just copying bands that I grew up liking. So you know, so obviously Jam, as I've said, but there were also specials that were UB40 and Clash, and also there was the other reggae bands at the time, as one that I was into as well, and they were always talking about politics and what was happening outside. Whereas I think over the years I've been more focused on what I can do internally, what I've got actual control of. So I've become more into something like personal development and that kind of thing. Yeah. Because I have control over that, whereas I don't have control over what's going on in the rest of the world. Whereas it's good to have a view and it's good to participate, especially as I say in the political process in terms of voting and that kind of thing, and protesting when necessary as well. I think where you will get the most benefit is working on yourself internally, then you have more to give. It's like what they say in an airplane situation. They always say put your own mask on first
before you help others. Yeah.
And unless you have that where you've helped yourself and you've looked to yourself first, you're not going to be in a position to help others.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where I've kind of focused.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because the way now you've how we're doing this, there's been there's been all the steps that you've been through, you know, the records here, we got a few more to go through, but you know,
should we go to the next one?
Yeah, we'll go for the next one, but
the next one is,
as you've gone through the records and your journey, and then you've met me, who likes to bring individuals that have focused on themselves into the spotlight. This is how we can work together, you know what I mean? So it's just absolutely.
Everyone's got their own individual way of looking at life, looking at the world. And what you're doing is an amazing thing because you're giving a platform for people to express themselves.
Yeah.
For us to express ourselves. And it's a dialogue as well because people are going to comment on this as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So we can learn from each other, and that's an important thing that you're doing. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Curtis Mayfield, who I've been a fan of for a long, long time. I actually mentioned in one of the songs on the master tapes, a song called Paradise. I talk about Curtis. He's just a great artist. I love his lyrics. There's one of his most famous songs is probably Move On Up.
Move On Up.
Move On Up. Yeah, where that's all about, self-empowerment and having an optimistic outlook in life and taking responsibility for yourself and for your life. And he had that positivity, and the music was just fantastic as well. He's just a great musician, great songwriter, so I've always been a big fan of Curtis Mayfield.
Curtis Mayfield, right here in this pristine condition.
That's one I wanted to bring along.
Where does Curtis hail from? Where is he from?
He's from the States. I'm not sure exactly whether it's Philadelphia or Detroit. I'm not 100% sure, but he's definitely from the US. No longer with us, unfortunately.
Okay.
Very highly respected musician. But he's a musician's musician. People that play music would generally know
Curtis Mayfield, yeah.
And be fans. Before he was a solo artist, he was in a group called The Impressions. And
The Impressions?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The Impressions was a vocal group, but they had some really big, massive hits as well, like People Get Ready. It was an Impression song. And it's worth checking out The Impressions as well as
Curtis solo. Okay. Why do you think in America that's where, like in your opinion, because there's many different reasons, but why do you think in America this is where music, like intentional music that kind of shifted how we basically view the world, how we view the actions of governments, how we should live our lives, how we view our affinity? Why do you think the US was such a boiling pot of these mythical, I'm going to call them mythical because they're basically legends. All of these legends are all coming from the US. Why is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question, and you need to talk to a musicologist to really get a good understanding of that. But obviously you've got the transatlantic slave trade, people come from Africa,
right?
En masse to the US, bringing African music, which I think is the basis of a lot of music, certainly rock and roll and blues comes from that.
Yeah, African.
So that develops out of that that population in the US. Blues and a lot of musical genres come from that, from rock right up to the modern day. So you've got that, and also I think certainly within black music, the church was something you can't underestimate. The fact that people learn to play to a very high level and sing to a very high level in church because they're getting really good education.
Yeah, gospels and all sorts of stuff, yeah.
And soul basically comes from gospel music. So you've got that side of things as well. So you've got the blues, which is all about, the clubs.
Yeah, club, jazz, all of that.
And then you've got gospel, which really drove soul music. People like Sam Cooke and Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
Grew up in church, and that's where they learned their skills, and then took it into the commercial side from there. So I think we've got those foundations, and it's just been built on from that. I think as you grow up, you see successful people that look like you within music and within that sort of, different genres, and you can kind of copy that, you feel inspired by that, so it kind of grows from there. That's what I think anyway. I think it's somebody that from a very, you can also trace it back to the African slaves that were taken to the US and were singing to alleviate the suffering that they had. That's where the blues came from, and
so from transatlantic to blues to gospel to rare groove, soul, and all the different partitions from it.
Right to hip hop, and I think one thing leads to another. Nothing happens in isolation. These things all have something to give. All takes up from the past, and so I think that's probably how it happened, why it happened. Like I say, initially I think music must have been a way to alleviate the suffering of the slaves that were taken to the US.
Yeah. I think music still is.
Music has always been a release.
Yeah.
People that are oppressed, people that didn't have any other way to express themselves. Music was a way of doing that, and a way of feeling good and having some good vibes and good experiences. So that's probably contributing as well.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. You're not a musicologist by degree, but the answer you gave is absolutely amazing, and I wouldn't have even but I wouldn't have even thought of it like that as to why the US was a boiling pot for talent in so many genres, and it even takes it back to how you've got the metronome kind of 4 sharp beats. Yeah. And then you got the free flow, and you were talking about it with your music, but the free flow comes from African music, which is coming from Sunny.
King Tony Ade, and all that African music that my father played, which I grew up listening to, from a kid.
Yeah.
So before I even knew what music was, when I was 1 year old, I was hearing that music. So obviously it has an impact.
Exactly, and it had an impact with from the transatlantic time, the same kind of impact. You're just getting inspiration from hearing from the past.
Well, there's obviously a merging of what they were hearing from different populations. So obviously the white population playing their music, country, and that kind of music as well would have had an influence as well.
Yeah.
So you definitely would have a merging of the two, and you could hear that influence as well. And also, so one thing I haven't mentioned as well is jazz, which is an art form from black people in America. That's an art form that's come out of that population, and that's very technical, and that does have bars, can be metronomic as well.
Okay.
So you've got a mixture of different things, different stuff.
As everything does. And so that brings us to, this is the second to last?
Yeah, second to last one. And this is Paul Weller's album
Wildwood. Is it on the back or is it, okay, right, I see it is on the back, yeah. Wildwood. It's a silhouette.
It's a funny thing, because this one, there is a version that has got the name on it, but this must be a different copy. So, because I've got another copy that's got the name on it, but this one hasn't.
Why do you have 2 copies? You liked it that much, you just bought 2?
I liked it so much, I bought 2. Yeah, I didn't realise I bought one, and then I didn't realise I had it. I bought another one, so I've got a couple of copies on the vinyl. Yeah,
but I see. Paul Weller Wildwoods.
Yeah, Wildwood, and this is a very acoustic sounding album. It's got
a lot of natural sounds.
Got a lot of acoustic, natural sounding instruments.
Okay.
And it's just a classic. It's definitely one of my favourite albums. Produced by Brendan Lynch, actually.
Okay, so this is
produced by Brendan Lynch.
Let me just. So, Brendan, this is for you, Brendan Lynch. So this is Paul Weller Wildwoods, which he helped produce.
Yes.
Shout out to you and Paul Weller together. And now you're working with a big fan of Paul Weller, so it's a beautiful full circle.
Well, really happy to work with Brendan, and it's one of my favourite albums as well. Yeah, and again, I like the sounds. I like the sounds on it. I like it's got organ, it's got drum bass, obviously, piano, and the lyrics are great as well, and the playing is fantastic.
So it's Wildwoods. It sounds romantic. It sounds like it's about nature. Am I right?
Yeah, the title song, Wildwood, is a very kind of folk inspired song.
Okay.
Not a lot of chords in it, but it's more about the performance, and the lyrics are about. For me, they're talking about, you know, when you have difficult times, like going into the wildwood and finding your way out of it, finding your way into the better times and overcoming.
Right. Okay.
That vibe of it.
You know what? Now that you say that, that it's about getting out. Maybe that's why they used the silhouette, because this is giving me a more kind of melancholy. Like, this is an album that looks like it's. Bring it up again. This is an album that looks like it would be for someone that is in a dark place, but wants to come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you're starting off in a dark place.
Yeah, you've got that silhouette, and then you've got the scenery of the. You know that there's obviously a green sort of park, or you know.
Yeah, and outdoor.
Well, outdoor as well. Yeah, so really good. Yeah, look, the artwork.
I wonder what he's got in his hand. Oh, it's a guitar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely wicked.
Yeah.
Oh, I know a lot of people are gonna love this.
Yeah, I love this one.
Well, I heard Marvin Gaye is one of the greats.
Yeah, this is one of the greats. This is probably if I had to pick my favourite album, this would be my favourite album. Yeah.
From the greats.
Yeah. What's going on, Marvin Gaye? It's just a classic. You know, the songs on it are just again. It's about humanity, the human condition. It's about
humanitarian
again.
Okay.
But it's like it's talking about things that were happening at the time.
What time was
Vietnam
this?
War in the early 70s.
Early 70s. This is okay.
It's talking about things that were happening in the Vietnam War and ecology. It's talking about that before it became a well-known thing, a popular thing.
Ecology.
Yeah, about this, about I think now we talk about climate change.
Right. Okay.
So
I see.
Talking about that as well. He's talking
about. Oh wow! All the way
like,
back in the 70s.
Yeah, that long ago. Yeah, he's talking about that and pollution and how it's affecting health and society. So yeah, I really love that, and he's got an amazing voice. You know, vocally, it's one of the most highly acclaimed soul singers of.
I've heard. Yeah.
Of all time. So yeah, big fan of Marvin Gaye, and this album especially. It's just an amazing album.
It is well shot. This is really, really like he's in the rain. He's confused, obviously, but not a good confused. He's like a bad looking confused. Yeah.
It's
like what's happening around me.
Yeah.
You know.
It's contemplative, and I think
I think it's quite interesting that these older, like any album that's on, let me bring this up because it is Marvin Gaye. It is one of the greats. But it is kind of interesting how that they very intentionally back, like this is we've got albums from 60s, 70s, and 80s, and the covers of the albums really articulate what the music's gonna be, and what it's not something that we have anymore. Fair enough. You look at a new release from. I don't know, Kanye, Drake, Kendrick, whoever, and like the front of the song or the album, you're just like, oh, it's just whatever, just an image. They just chose an image. Maybe it's a very obscure image. Maybe it links back to something that happened way back or something that's important to them, but it's very personal, a little personal touch. But these ones convey moods, they convey purpose, they convey like what kind of audience is going to listen to it, they convey the what's going on in the head of the artist.
Yeah.
So it's quite it's interesting.
So you've got the artwork was all part of the piece. You know, it's all the cover, the music, all kind of work together, you know, and they spend a lot of time thinking about what the cover was going to be like, you know, so it will represent the music as well.
Yeah.
But that's what like you say, we don't have that now. We're streaming so much, you don't really see the cover.
There'll be no point. Well, they the price point wise, they see it as there is no point. That's not to say all of them, but most of the ones that you see mainstream, they kind of abstain from it.
You know, it's not the best place to invest.
Yeah, but it's just a single shot, like a single shot from a camera in the right place. Now, I'm not saying that my camera can do things to this quality, but you know, that's quite good. You know, you could easily go out there and just and
see the thing about for example that one. It looks very simple, very straightforward, but you can bet that there is lighting involved with that, and there was probably they might have taken 100 photos.
Yeah.
You've got a professional photographer there. It's not going to be taken by someone with you know, it's going to be taken with a professional person, and they're going to capture the right mood. And also as well, they may have had various different sessions, different concepts which they tried, didn't like, scrapped, before they found the one which would actually match the music. So record companies invested a lot more into the covers because it's like an advert for the music. You know, you see it in shop windows, and you would go and think, oh, that's an interesting cover. I'll go and buy that, or I'll go and at least go and listen to it in the shop. You know? So they'd invest a lot more into it back in those days when they had the 12-inch vinyl.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's not much point making that investment because people don't buy music in that way as much anymore. So,
yeah, it's stream and it's cut up, and you wouldn't just get the record to kind of explore or get an album to explore. You get the album because, you know, maybe the person has a lot of accolades. They have a certain perspective on things. I know some people go and listen to certain musicians because of actually what they've said in public, and then they want to hear it in their music. Maybe because of world issues, maybe because they're affiliated with something else and their music's been pushed through like a movie. Like you've watched the movie, you've gone, the track behind that was wicked. Who is that? Find out who it is, and then you go, and games as well. Like never underestimate that. I got into Avenged Sevenfold. They do that kind of rock, and that was from a game.
Wow. Okay.
And I listened to their music, and I'm like, oh wow, that's quite, you know.
I think that is a way now that you do get into different tunes. It's through it being on a game.
Yeah, like affiliate entertainment to then come into the music.
A few times, isn't it, with different artists where their music's been featured on a game, and you know, it's been revitalised that way. And also TikTok as well. You know,
yes. That has brought a lot of old, new music from all over the world: Ethiopian, Chinese, Japanese, Icelandic, Norwegian, you name it, South America, everything. It brings it all into the public eye, and then people find out where the sample's from and do their damn hardest to find out where the song's from, and then listen to it. It's absolutely insane. So you're right, the TikTok was a very good example. A brilliant example, better than my other examples actually. A brilliant example. Of the music. So that is all the amalgamation that is.
So I brought in 9. I brought in 10 including my own.
Just bringing back your one. All of everything that we've just went through is one of many that you've made, but it all comes into this. That is nuts.
This is
that's a lot of work. That is a lot of background. But it's beautiful. It's just beautiful that, and this is why I always say this. Like when you have a conversation with an individual, when you find out what they're about, you know, I found out about you through episode 5. Shout out to Daniela. Hello. When I went to see her, hi Daniela. She'll definitely be watching this. 1,000,000% she'll be watching this. she said to me, "Oh, I know an individual that you might have an interest in that would love to kind of do this as well." You know what I mean? I was like, "Okay, yeah, show me who they are." And she showed me, I think it was Summer's Breeze or something like that.
Okay.
I think that was the very first thing I heard you sing, and it was just a link she sent me straight to it. There was no like your channel and then all of that stuff. That was the very first thing I listened to, and I listened to it, and I was like, okay, so he's a musician. All right, then he's acoustic, but not acoustic in the way that I've ever heard before in my life. And then we obviously met on LinkedIn, and then we had the Zoom call, and then I went to see the show, and I listened to the music before, and now we're doing this.
Yeah, sure.
And it's just it's the journey.
That's how it's
the journey. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, it's referrals, it's community. You know, I met Danielle in the same way. You know, met her online, and then she referred me to yourself, and then now we're doing this.
And now we're here.
Yeah.
And this is what I live for, because this is what, you know, when people like say about life, like they speak of it as if you expect what's going to happen. It doesn't have to be like that.
No.
You don't need to. You can live in a way, very affordably, by the way, because this is all from everything that I have, my laptop, my camera. All of this is from me working a 9 to 5. You know, this hasn't come from what do you call it? A inheritance or some sort of splash of money. This is from hard work and organising my time.
Yeah.
And you can do this. You can go out here. You can do this on the day. This is the only day off I have this week, and I'm so thankful of how I'm spending it. You know, so you know, today's Monday, and I won't have another day off for the rest of the week. And I'm glad this is how I'm doing it. I wouldn't spend it any other way, because any other way I've already done it.
Sure. I'm grateful. You know, I'm grateful to you.
No, I'm grateful for you for coming for a beautiful sunny day. You got me outside, man. It's beautiful, man. I'm wearing. See, I'm content. It's lovely. This is what it's about. You know what I mean? And then going through this lovely musical journey, and going through the root of music, the root of your music, the root of why you play, how you make a song, the ideas that are like in your head from the 60s all the way up to now, your relationship with the producer Brendan, the fact of the new releases I've already heard, but now I'm going to hear, but they're going to be better because of the way it's produced, the free flow of African kind of acoustic style other than metronomic, you know, sharp fours in one band. And man.
See, we covered a lot.
Yeah, there's so much to cover. This is why I do this, because it's impossible to cover this in your own lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we only live one life that we know of. You know, that we're 100% certain. Everyone can agree. We only live one life. And this is why you've got to get out there and talk to people and take in the experience, because people have seen things, you know. People have done things that you would never have thought about. People can tell you things, and you know, you're getting it right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, well, we can learn so much from each other, you know, and that's why this kind of communication is so important, you know, because you know you learn by having these kind of chats, and you know, I've learned a lot from you today, you know, about your life and your journey as well. It's very inspiring as well, you know. So it's been a really good, mutually beneficial experience.
It's been very, very mutually. It's been very, very lovely, and this is only episode 2 of the second volume. Many more to come, and as the volumes come, it will get larger and larger and larger. And like people from before, I've referenced Daniela and Guy. You're going to be referenced as well, because obviously what I've learned from you, I'll probably take you to a conversation with another musician that I have a interview with, and you know, it's an ongoing, beautiful conversation.
You know? I do want to say thank you to Daniela for introducing us.
Thank you, Daniela, for introducing me to him and him to me. Thank you so much. I know you're all the way in Crewe, obviously out here with Goal 17, improving people's lives, and just thankful to absolutely everyone that has participated thus far. You're adding to my knowledge, and every time you do, every time we have these lovely conversations, and I go to the next interview, I have more to say, I have more to think about. It's more complex. It's not it's a sphere of many different components, and there's no right answer to anything. I'm now finding it's all perspective.
Yeah, it's all perspective.
You know,
it's to have that outlook is a good thing, because you're always going to be learning to think that you don't know everything. And,
exactly. That's the one truth of life. You don't know anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know nothing.
Yeah, you don't. And what you believe yesterday, you might not believe tomorrow. So
exactly.
Just have an open mind.
So before we end, is there anything you would like to say to the viewers? Have you got anything coming up? Have you got anything that we need to look out for? Have you is there any messages you want to give?
Yeah, sure. Well, as I've said, I'm currently working on a new album, which is called The Recorder.
The Recorder, new album.
It should be out, I think, around September time.
September this year.
Have a look out for that, and I'll be playing some live shows around that time as well to promote the album. So it'd be great to see one of those if you're free and want to come along.
Where can they get the tickets? What's the platform? Where are we going?
Tickets aren't on sale yet. Probably from middle of May. They go to my website, which is ayobamidele.com.
That will definitely be in the description. Come hell, come water, it will be there.
Yeah,
okay.
You'll find a link there to tickets, and also we can get the album as well.
Fantastic. Ayo, thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for making episode 2 enlightening, beautiful. It complements the day, actually. It complements, it's a day of reminiscence, a day of learning, it's a day of appreciating how much has gone into just everything that we know.
Yeah,
so thank you so much.
Yeah,
okay. And guys, have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in, and like, subscribe, follow on Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, there was one more, and LinkedIn. If you would like to participate, please let me know. I'm always very open to have guests from any walk of life, because this is just an absolutely beautiful and amazing thing to do. And yeah, this is fantastic. I love it. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.